I am inclined to accept the challenge. Should the leadership of Africa want my services, I am ready and offer myself to be of service to this continent. I'm ready, yes, to go for the chairmanship of the African Union.
Raila Odinga won his first elective seat as a member of parliament in 1992. Raila has unsuccessfully vied for Kenyan presidency 5 times. He served as Kenyan Prime Minister between 2008 and 2013. He was one of the main contenders in the controversial 2007 Kenyan elections, which ended up in war, violence, and loss of 1,500 lives. And currently, he is the opposition leader in Kenya after losing the 2022 general elections to President William Ruto. In Kenya, people have ambivalent feeling towards Odinga. He's always unpredictable, and even though Raila has been opposition leader in Kenya for the better part of his political career, he's always worked with governments in office, and some people feel he's a betrayer. And now Raila Odinga is one of the leaders who have been touted for the African Union top job. 3 other countries, including Mauritius, Djibouti, and Madagascar, has fielded their candidates as well. It is believed that a tight race may be between the Kenyan former Prime Minister and the Djibouti Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamed Yussuf, given that this is not the first time Kenya and Djibouti has found themselves in a race to clinch a continental seat. In 2020, Kenya and Djibouti were in a race to secure membership in the United Nations Security Council. Looking at the membership structure, Kenya had been a member twice, that is from 1977 to 1978 and from 1997 to 1998, while Djibouti had only been a member once, from 1993 to 1994. While Kenya won in 2020, Djibouti felt that the position was supposed to be for their candidate, given that they've only held it once against Kenya's 2. The 69-year-old Odinga believes he is the right man for the top job. In his AU chairmanship bid launching at the Kenya State House, Nairobi, the East Africa Community member states in attendance promised to back Raila as their most preferred candidate. In attendance were Tanzania's Samia Suluhu, Uganda's Yoweri Museveni, former Nigeria President Olusegun Obasanjo, Sudan's Salva Kiir, Gervais Ndirakobuka, the Prime Minister of Burundi, and Rwanda's Foreign Affairs Minister General James Kabarebe. Among Odinga's main manifestos are reducing over-reliance on external funding and rallying member states and private players to finance the AU priorities. He also promised to spur trade by establishing a common market and boost intra-Africa trade. He said he will work towards removing barriers that have made trade within Africa almost impossible. Currently, intra-Africa trade is paltry, the lowest among other continents, hindering our economic independence and interdependence, he said. While there are still several months to the AU elections, it may not be a walk in the park for Mr. Odinga. And unless he consult the African gods of luck, Odinga may still find himself in the losing end. But why am I saying this? Let's take a look back into 2017 AU elections. The current AU chair was not considered as the strongest candidate to replace Nkosazana and Dlamini of South Africa. In fact, some sources say he submitted his candidature on the set deadline date. Many thought that the then Kenyan Foreign Affairs Minister, Madam Amina Mohamed, who was his close competitor, would have clinched the seat, but Chad's candidate would later emerge the winner. From the first round of voting, Faki got 28 votes ahead of Amina Mohamed's 25, but this did not meet the AU threshold as one has to get at least 2/3 of votes, which is an equivalent of at least 34 votes out of 50 African countries. Eventually, after 7 rounds of voting, Faki won. Faki's victory was attributed to the fact that the former Chad's president, Mr. Idris Deby, was personally campaigning for him at the presidential level, with a clear message that Faki was predictable. This campaign led to the West Africa countries voting for Faki, especially those in Francophone countries. Voting history shows that the AU elections has always been influenced by language, which is either Francophone, the French-speaking, and the Anglophone, the English-speaking nations. Africa has 24 Anglophone countries and over 21 Francophone countries, and 8 countries using 2 official languages but are categorized under Francophone, totaling Francophone countries to about 29 countries. If voting were to be done by this criteria, Raila may lose, but then the 2/3 threshold may not be met, prompting a rerun. The second determinant would be the depth of campaigns. Key leads to the current AU president's victory was the fact that his campaigns were done at a presidential level. On August 27, Kenya in a State House event endorsed Raila, and Kenyan president promised intensive campaigns for Raila across the continent. Raila has also been meeting different heads of state to ask for their support, including the recently ended China-Africa Summit in Beijing and the United Nations General Assembly in New York, where both Odinga and President Ruto were in attendance. Given the influence Mr. Ruto has gained in Africa and beyond since his 2 years in power, some view him as the West's favorite African leader. This strategy may work and push Raila to the top, as this was the exact ticket that sent the outgoing AU chair Mr. Faki to power. Let me take you a little back to Kenyan politics. Ruto and Odinga had worked together in previous political coalitions, which proved to be one of the strongest coalitions ever made in Kenya, and it almost led Raila to presidency in 2007. And most Kenyans sees Ruto as a man who never backs down until he gets what he wants, no matter what it takes. But this time, most Kenyans question the motive behind the president's support to the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, for the AU job. Some say it may be a strategy to garner support for his 2027 re-election, and that it may not be really meaning well for Mr. Odinga. Since he endorsed Odinga for the AU chairmanship, President Ruto has been seen trying to get into Raila's support base, opening various projects, and even appointing some of Raila's men to his cabinet. An ex-user took to his page saying, "Again and as usual, you don't get it. Ruto is doing it for himself. He does not want Raila to oppose him in 2027, whether as a candidate or supporting one." Djibouti's candidate multilingual ability is a key and a strong campaign point. He says he's the only candidate capable of bridging the gap between the regions of Africa, given his ability to communicate fluently in French, English, and Arabic. Yussuf hoped to take advantage of his skills to resolve armed conflicts in the continent. Yussuf further wants to consolidate AU relationship with European Union, China, among other blocs and countries. While other continents do not directly involve themselves in the AU elections, they've always been seen as interested parties, and Yussuf manifestos may align so well with what the West wants for Africa. One Kenyan diplomat, Bernard Kipkorir, in his post said, "Djibouti is the only country in the whole world that has military bases for US, China, France, Italy, Germany, Russia, India, and Saudi Arabia." He continues to say that Djibouti is tiny but punches above its weight. A Kenyan-based diplomat analyst, Mr. Ahmed Hashi, calculates that the French government would interfere with the elections and influence the Francophone countries to unite and edge out the Kenyan candidate. Hashi later says that this is what made the Kenyan candidate to lose the last election, and he strongly believes that this may be the case for Odinga. Raila had blamed the West in 2017 and 2022 Kenyan general elections, accusing them of denying him power because his manifestos did not align to what the West wanted for Kenya. In 2022, Raila claimed that the international community was against his bid for presidency because of his plans to tame market monopolies dominated by Western countries. The question is, will they now allow him to lead Africa? Another big question is predictability. Remember, one message that took Faki to power was the fact that he was predictable. But Raila has shown to be one of the most unpredictable African leaders in history. His decision to sign himself in as the people's president in 2018, despite losing that election, also raises eyebrows on his ability to respect the constitution and the rule of law.
Of the high calling, assume the office of the people's president of the Republic of Kenya. So help me God.
Even though both the candidates have plans for the youth and women, the ability of 78-year-old Odinga to lead a youth-dominated continent has also been a point of key concern. One ex-user took to his page saying, "The need for dynamic and forward-thinking leadership in a rapidly evolving world is critical, and age might impact his ability to connect with and address the needs of African younger demographics." While Raila's experience in constitutional matters, leadership and Africanism is beyond question, he must really pull everything together against all odds. And the question is, will Odinga win come February 2025, or is Baba losing again? My name is Brian Moses. Kindly allow me to know your thoughts in the comment section, and please share, like, and subscribe to this channel.